Hi, fourth graders. My name is Mrs. Compton. Maybe you recognize me from working together in your third grade classroom last school year, or maybe even from some videos from distance learning last year. But I get to work with you this school year in fourth grade, and I'm so excited to hear some of your strategies as we get going. So I'm going to be working here in this room, or you might even see my computer screen sometimes for some of our lessons. But I just wanted to take a moment to say hi, and I'm so excited to get the chance to work with you, and can't wait to see what we get to do together this year. All right, up next, your first lesson. All right, we're ready for our first lesson. So I'm going to ask you about this place value chart and what do you know about it? So I'm sure you've probably seen this before in third grade, but let's take a little bit of a closer look. So what if I put a 1 right here? What is it? What is the value of that 1? How about if I put a 1 right here? What's the value of that 1? And how about, I'll add another 1. What's the value of that? So maybe you said, well, this one would be worth 1, and this one is 10, and this one is worth 100. And then you probably noticed that these are green here. These are called periods. So this is like the ones period here, or the units. And then these are purple here, and these are the thousands. So thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, right? So you may have also noticed that this one is a lighter shade of purple than this one and then this one. Because this one is worth the least amount in the thousands period. And then we get increasingly more in terms of value. So we get a little darker and a little darker. Same for over here. A little lighter, a little darker, and the darkest in that period. And then check this out. There's a tenths and a hundredths. Now this one's darker than this one. That's odd. We're going to talk more about that in a few minutes. All right, so if I put another one of these right here, you would probably know it's worth 10,000. So I want to bring this back to you from previous grades. Do you guys remember these? This is like a 1. So I'm going to place it right there above the 1. And this is like worth 110, right? And this one is worth 100. And we know that because this is a 10 by 10 array, right? So we can say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. All right, so this one's worth 100. So we know that from previous grades, but we're going to build on that. So it's an important thing that we remember, right? Okay, so I have a question for you. How many of these little yellow ones would you need to make 110? How many of the little yellow ones would you need to make 110? And the answer to that is 10. You'd have to count them 10 times. So let's see. You would have to count those 10 times in order to make 1 long, right? Okay, so then how about this? We have 110 right here, so 110. How many tens would it take to make 100? Well, you probably already know the answer to that. That is 10. So we'd have to count that 10 times. Okay, how about this one? Going back to this, how many of these would you need to make one of those? Let's check this out. How many of these would you need to make one of those? Well, you're probably telling me already that you only need 100, or that is kind of a lot, huh? So you need 100 of those. So we could say from here to here, you'd have to have 100 of them. So I'm going to write times 100. So let's see. When we moved 1 place value to the left, we had to have 10 things. And that was true here too. We had to move 1 place value from the tens to the hundreds, and we wrote times 10. And this time we moved 2 place values to the left, and it was times 100. And that pattern would keep going. How many? Ooh, I have 1,000 right here. So this is my 1,000 cube, right? So that would go right here in this column, but it's not magnetic, so up it goes. All right, so Ooh, don't want it to fall. Okay, so if I had this and I wanted to turn it into my thousands, I would need how many of them? Well, you probably guessed it. You would need 1,000. Okay, so I want you to stop and notice right now. What patterns are you seeing? Everybody take a moment. All right, did you notice that when we move one place value to the left, it's times 10, 2 places to the left, and it's times 100, 3 places to the left, and it's times 1,000. And our place value chart is pretty nifty in that way because it follows a pattern, right? So I'm going to trade these out now because I feel like a super powerful way to think about things is always with money. And who doesn't like to think about money, right? I do. I like to think about using this place value chart and kind of having money guide me. But this time I'm going to add some into the tenths and the hundredths. So let's add some ones there. And I'm going to take off the thousands right now for thinking about money. All right, so if I were a $1 bill, where would I go? Okay. A lot of times kids will tell me here, here, or here. So either in the ones, the tenths, or the hundredths column. Okay, so if I were a $1 bill, where would I go? I would go right here. It's worth $1, right? So this is like our unit. All right, I'm going to hang this guy up. That's our $1. Okay, now, what would this be? If this is a $1 bill, what column would this be? Think about that. You probably know this already. I'm going to guess you might have said it would be a $10 bill. Well, guess what? I searched my house high and low, and I don't have a $10 bill, so I'm going to draw one. So this would be a $10 bill. Okay, now let's check this out. What bill would this be? Well, it's increasing in value, right? This one, we would need 10 of to make this one. And this one, we would need 10 of to make this one if we're following that pattern. So it would be our $100 bill. All right, so let's see here. I have a piece of tape right here. I'm going to use that. Okay, so here's $1, $10, and $100. So you can see it's increasing in value. You would need 100 of these guys to make just one of those, right? So we kind of saw before that pattern. You would need 100 of these to make just one of those, right? Okay, so then the question is always, well, what are these columns? What would these columns be worth? Okay, so let's think about this. Money, money, money. I want to think about money. And right now I'm representing, let me get a different color so it shows up a bit better. I'm representing $111 and 11 cents if I were to use this number right here, right? Okay, so what coin would this be? What coin would it be? All right, so you might be telling me already that you know it's the dime. How much is the dime worth? You got it. It's worth 10 cents. And it's also worth 1/10 of a dollar because you need 10 of them to make a dollar, right? So we would need 10 of these guys to make the dollar. So it's following that pattern again. We would have to have 10. Okay, so let's figure out what the last one would be. Ooh, there she goes. It would be a penny, right? So a penny is only worth 1 cent. a lot of times kids think pennies will go here in the ones column, but it's not worth $1. Our $1 is our unit, right? So this we need how many of to make $1? Well, if you said 100, you got it, right? So this one is 1/100 of $1, right? So we would have to count a penny 100 times to make $1. All right, so let's check this out. Let's put in numbers or digits other than ones. All right, sorry, the money is going away now. Back to my pocket it goes. I don't want to lose it. These were real dollar bills. I'm sure you guys probably figured that out, but the coins were fake. All right, so let's put in, oops, I need my eraser. Let's put in some digits other than 1. And remember, these are called digits, and together they make one number. All right, so here we go. Oops. All right, let's read this number. Okay, so we have 3 in the thousands column. So this is where we separate the periods, remember? So when I am saying the number, my comma is going to go wherever the periods separate, and then that's when I'm going to say the period number. So to say this number, I'd say 3,739. Okay? All right, so let's take a moment. I want you to think about what you can figure out about this number. Okay, so I'm going to guess some of the things that you may have said. Maybe you said you knew that this digit was worth 3,000 because it's 3,000. And maybe you figured that that was worth 700. And this was worth 310, so you probably know that's 30. And that's worth 9 ones. And you probably know that this is even expanded form, so maybe you already knew that. It's the same as the number written in the chart. Maybe you said, ooh, maybe you even compared this digit 3 with this digit 3. Which one has the greatest value? They're not the same, right? So you probably realize that this has the greatest value because it's worth 3,000, and this one's only worth 30. So that leads me to my next question. How many times more is this 3,000 than this 30? How many times more is it? How many columns did we go past? Let's see. Not 1, but 2. So that makes this 3,000 worth 100 times more than that 30. All right, so that's kind of the neat thing about place value charts. Think in money. It's so powerful. 4th grade and 5th graders, you really have to know that money, and it really helps you with the place value system. So don't forget. All right, see you next time. Bye.